something called the art of fighting without fighting.
Hi and welcome back to Kung Fu Shrimp. This is a video I always knew I would need to make at some point, but if I'm honest, I had hoped it'd be several years down the line. I'm not sure even how to say this, but Bruce has died. This has been devastating for me, and I considered just stopping all of this. However, Bruce has built up quite a following, and I felt it would be a disservice to all the people who've enjoyed his videos if I didn't explain what happened. Before we get started, I just want to make one thing clear. This is not the end of Kung Fu Shrimp. Stick around to the end of the video to see where we go next. As I was editing my last video on what you can keep with a mantis shrimp, Bruce had begun preparations for a molt. As usual, he'd stopped eating and blocked up the entrances to his cave. This is nothing unusual, and I began the normal wait to see Bruce emerge in his shiny new shell. The length of time Bruce will remain shut up during a molt has always varied, the shortest being under a week and the longest being almost 2 weeks. During this period, I try to leave him alone as much as possible, as this is always the most dangerous time for a mantis shrimp. As the 2-week mark passed, with no sign of Bruce, I started to get nervous. I left it another week, as the last thing I wanted to do was start poking around in his tunnel, if he was in the middle of a molt. But as he still had made no appearance after 3 weeks, I made the decision to take a look. At this point, I was fairly sure the worst had happened, and unfortunately, this was confirmed when I discovered Bruce's body in one of the first sections of pipe I removed. Although at this point, I was almost sure he was dead, it was still devastating to find him. It was also obvious he'd been dead for quite a while, as his body was quite badly decomposed. I'm sorry I don't have any footage of any of this, but at the time I was only concerned with Bruce, and the thought of capturing it all for YouTube was the last thing on my mind. As for why Bruce died, that is a hard question to answer. From everything I've read, the molting period is a common time to lose a mantis shrimp, but his body was fairly decomposed when I found it, so it's very difficult to tell anything from it. I've since carried out multiple water tests and a thorough inspection of the tank, and I've not managed to find a smoking gun. I've considered everything from dodgy salt to toxic sponges, but the fact is I'll probably never know the reason. I had owned him for almost 3.5 years, and he wasn't a baby when I got him. On many websites, their lifespan is given as 3 to 5 years, so it's possible he was simply at the end of the road. But I've always taken this lifespan with a grain of salt, as I've heard of them living considerably longer. So, after taking some time to mourn and think about if I could have done anything differently, I came to the decision that I was not ready for this to be the end of my time looking after the mighty mantis shrimp. So, after making some minor improvements to the tank, I have now begun the search for Bruce II. Here in the UK, mantis shrimp are not a common thing to see. Bruce was the first one I'd ever seen in a fish store. But I plan on asking in a few shops I know have stocked them in the past, and I hope I'll be able to source a new one pretty quickly. So, that's where we are at the moment. It's been a hard time, and not something I want to go through again in a hurry, but I am starting to get excited to see if the lessons I learned with Bruce will transfer to the next member of his dynasty. As always, I'm immensely grateful to anyone who watches these videos. And although this is definitely the end of an era, I think the future could be something pretty special. If you enjoyed this video and like to keep up with the next chapter for Kung Fu Shrimp, please like and subscribe, it really means a lot, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.